Raleigh's traffic cameras are going away, but is it a good thing? Stick with me and we'll find out. Welcome, YouTube. This is a story that I've had the prep done for a couple of weeks now, and I've just been dragging my feet on actually presenting it. So let's just jump right into it. If you're familiar with Raleigh and WRAL, you've probably already seen the news article, but if you haven't, I'm going to cut over to that right now and let's get started. So Raleigh's getting rid of all 25 red light cameras is the title of this story, and here we go.
The cameras that have been catching red light runners at dozens of intersections in Raleigh for the last 2 decades are coming down. The city is getting rid of its red light cameras over the next few weeks. WRAL's Matt Tallhelm is live in downtown Raleigh with why this is happening. Matt.
Well, Renee, the city's already started taking down these cameras. We're here at the intersection of Dawson and Morgan here right in downtown, right by the Pendo building. This is one of 25 intersections that had those red light cameras, but I want to show you right here. That's all that's left of them. This metal pole, this is where one of those sensors used to be, and there was another pole further up there that had the cameras on them, but they've already started taking them down. We've gone to several intersections here in downtown and noticed those cameras are gone. That's because the city is not renewing its contract with the company that operates the Safe Light program when it ends April 8th. Ahead of that, a new message posted on the Safe Light webpage actually says the city is no longer accepting payments for any outstanding citations and that all unpaid citations at this point are being tossed out. Now, the most tickets Raleigh's Safe Light program gave out in the
I do want to cut in here right now just to say that I'm not going to get too deep into the whole debate of the constitutionality of red light cameras or the reasons behind why these cameras have come down. As they just mentioned, this was run by a third-party company. That, in turn, from my understanding, is some level of the issues with them and why they've gotten away from them. But let me let the story play on, and we'll get into some of the rest of that here soon. If you are a lawyer and you can speak to that, feel free to comment down below some of the reasons why these cities have gotten away from these type of red light cameras, but we'll get into the future of that here in a second.
Year was right around 30,000. The city tells me that number has actually dropped off, as has the number of tickets actually paid in recent years. So we talked to one Raleigh driver who got one of those red light tickets with the photo in the mail. He says he is glad to see the red light cameras go.
If they're going away, I think it's nice that they are. I think it's a little bit of a big brother kind of situation where you're just being monitored. I don't really think that they decrease traffic violations. I think they just, make it probably easier to ticket people.
Now, most of the other cities in North Carolina that had these red light cameras have gotten rid of them already. That's because of lawsuits that some of those cities faced over those. Here in Raleigh, the city is now taking a look at what to do with these 25 intersections to make sure that they are safe, that you don't see more people running red lights. So some of the things that they're looking at doing are actually to improve the lights themselves and put some of high visibility back plates, they're called. So those would be right behind the lights to make the lights themselves pop and stand out more.
And now that there's no deterrent, we certainly still encourage good, respectful driving behavior. Matt Tallhelm live with why red light cameras are coming down.
All right, well, as always with WRAL, that's about half of the story. I'm usually pretty hard on WRAL and their reporting. In this case, I don't think that this is malicious, maybe more out of ignorance, that they don't really understand what the future is or what's coming down the pipe and why the city has chosen to take this step. So I just happened to see a number of other articles, and I'm aware of some of the trends that major cities like Raleigh are looking into and the direction they plan to go with this. So diving into that, and if you want to see that video, this and all the other articles are going to be linked in the description. But NVIDIA has a satellite site here in Durham, and they have a decent presence probably all over the country now. But this is an article on their blog, on their website. AI getting green light, City of Raleigh taps NVIDIA Metropolis to improve traffic. So, of course, I'm not going to read the entire article here. It will be linked in the description. What it talks about on the surface, like he said, what they're looking at doing to improve the intersections. Well, this is one of those things. And for a long time, I had been saying that if you look at the way Teslas are able to, with cameras, identify vehicles around them, it would not take much for us to have smart load balancing intersections where cameras sit at an intersection and can determine when traffic is approaching and load balance the lights appropriately to disperse traffic as efficiently as possible. There's constantly this push for environmentalism, and, you know, they will do things like auto start stop being mandated in newer vehicles where the engine cuts off when you come to a stop at a red light. But they won't do things where the intersections load balance and flow more effectively to reduce the amount of gas burned at vehicles sitting idle. But this is a technology that will allow that. Now, of course, they never do things solely for our benefit. So there is a lot more involved in this. And I wanted to see, it talks about one of the, what was his title? I think it was something like traffic engineer. It talks about getting data from intersections, traffic flow, optimizing lights, as I was just speaking about, how it's going to help with growth. This is going to be an AI-driven system where they're then allowed to take the data from the intersections and use this data. But particularly down here, the Raleigh system uses hundreds of cameras to enhance its model training, and the city has its sights set on everything from road flooding, license plate tracking, and parking utilization to bus stop wait times and sanitation management. So there, even in this article, it says license plate tracking. So what I'm basically getting at in this whole episode is those red light cameras have one purpose. You run a red light, it takes a picture, you get a bill in the mail. With this new system, that is one of many purposes they will be able to do. And it goes into these smart cities that you keep hearing people talk about. And of course, legally, they're going to find other ways to deal with the issues they have faced with the red light cameras, particularly that those cameras were managed by third-party companies. Well, now with this AI system, this is going to be able to bring this in-house, and these systems will be able to be managed by the city itself, overseen by sworn law enforcement officers who would then sign off on the issuing of citations. There's a lot of things that they can negate that the old system could not do. So this isn't that these systems are going away, they're improving and they're getting better. You have these ugly cameras sitting up on a pole that everybody can see and signs everywhere. In the new system, you're just going to have cameras everywhere, small, sleek cameras, out of sight, out of mind, until you start getting these, you know, citations in the mail. So the next article is Forbes. What are smart cities and why do we need them? Again, I'm not going to read over this whole article because it's kind of long. I want to focus on one paragraph down here, which was the, here we go. Keeping people moving, but not speeding. Several mobility solutions can be integrated into the smart city platform to help improve peak hour traffic flows. At the same time, they increase compliance with traffic laws so people can get to their destinations faster and more safely. Speed and red light violation detection and automated license plate recognition identify the vehicle owner, enabling the back-end system to generate a citation. Wrong way driving detection helps avoid traffic incidents. But when they do occur, a recording system captures incident data, providing accident trend analysis, and automatically generates reports. Then it gets into buses and a number of other ways. Oh, smart cities are also use new technology that help to better engage with residents and measure their attitudes. An interactive web portal integrated into the central platform automates communication of data directly to residents. The portal allows them to submit grievances and offer feedback to city administration using voice, text, email, or social media. It enables them to register their identity and download a mobile app to further streamline interactions. And that is one way in which they can get around maybe some of the legalities of these citations. Once we have this system that we have to enter into for our downtown parking, for paying certain government fees, it can turn into a situation where you're negating the normal system of citations. Now, just to use this platform that they create that you will almost surely have to submit to, if you have outstanding fines or fees, you don't get to do the other things that you need to do in this platform, so that therefore the fees must be paid before you can go forward. That is more of what I see coming out of this. Here's a video here that's going to get kind of into this. This is CNBC explains what is a smart city. So let's jump into this video. Again, all of these links are in the description if you want to go back and read the full article, as I know I'm just skimming over it, but I'm going to try and keep these videos a little shorter than some of the videos in the past have been. So let's get into what is a smart city.
Just how smart is your city? Chances are it's getting smarter by the year. Many governments
And your people are getting dumber.
around the globe are racing to infuse technology into just about every aspect of its city's operations. And I mean every part.
Including public transportation, IT connectivity, water and power supply, sanitation and solid waste management, efficient urban mobility, e-governance, and citizen participation.
And let me just stop and say, there's a lot of things that all of our local, state, and federal governments could do a lot more efficiently that would be to our benefit. I'm not saying that any of that is a bad thing. It's the rest of the double-edged sword that we're going to get along with it. You know, what is going to drive their want to become more efficient but profitability and money, as always. Anyways, diving back in.
And it does this using every buzzword imaginable, from big data to the Internet of Things.
So how does a smart city work? Let's look at 3 examples.
Here in Singapore, the city-state might be the gold standard of the most extensive effort to collect data on daily living.
The government is now deploying systems that can tell when people are smoking in prohibited zones or littering from high-rise housing.
Singapore launched its own Smart Nation program in
See, look at all those cameras behind him right there. And then also, you got to think, with as much as crime is becoming a problem in our modern society, do we really, yeah, people shouldn't smoke in smoking prohibited areas, but is that really a major concern? Is that something that we need to focus a lot of time and resources on?
2014, and will add more cameras like these, so the government can effectively monitor crowd density, cleanliness of public spaces, and even
Crowd density is in when a dense crowd is forming without their permission.
the exact movement of every locally registered vehicle.
Much of the
The exact movement of every registered vehicle. That's not creepy at all.
data it's collecting will be fed into an online platform called Virtual Singapore that gives the government access to how the city is functioning in real time. It could help the government predict how crowds might react to an explosion in a shopping mall, or how infectious
Oddly specific example.
disease might spread. Over in Dubai, more than 50 smart services from 22 government entities have been rolled out as part of the government's Smart Dubai initiative. Using the government-provided app Dubai Now, you can do things like pay a speeding ticket, which likely captured you on a public camera and then emailed you the ticket directly.
See, digital ticketing is not going away. They're just going to get better at it. They're just going to find other ways to negate the laws in place, negate the constitutional concerns that have come up with the old system of red light cameras. It's all going to be tied into this app. And, you know, of course, this could be the whole thing we've seen before where, well, you don't have to use the app, but really you do. Everything you need to do as a citizen in this community, your tickets, your fines, your taxes could all be tied into this app. And therefore that speeding ticket, that red light ticket you have, if it's not paid, the rest of your functions are disabled until that's resolved.
You can also use the same app to pay your electric bill, call a taxi, track a package you sent to your friend, find the nearest ATM.
Okay. I didn't hear that before. Why, if we use FedEx and UPS, why are we tracking packages through the government app?
Renew your vehicle registration, track the visa status of a relative, and report a violation to the Dubai police. Now head over to Barcelona, where one research firm estimates the city will save billions of dollars a year in energy costs just by installing smart systems like these. Number 1, smart streetlights. Public lighting that adapts and dims when there's no activity but brightens up when sensors detect motion. The second, parking sensors. Instead of driving in circles looking for a spot to park, drivers can get real-time information on an app which locates free parking spots. Sensors on the street curb use light.
I do not believe they're going to be free parking spots, but at least they'll tell you where you can pay for a parking spot.
And metal detectors to know if a parking spot or loading area is occupied. And finally, garbage sensors, which are actually compact drop-off containers which have a vacuum network through pipes which sucks up trash below ground.
A literal pipe dream. Can you imagine how many billions of dollars a system like this would cost? I mean, I think you would almost have to build this before you built the city. Could you imagine retrofitting a system like this into a city that's been pre-existing, like, say, New York? I don't see it happening.
The automated waste collection not only lowers noise pollution from garbage trucks, but also lowers costs and keeps bad odor away. Juniper Research estimates that by 2021, cities will save nearly $19 billion by making their cities smart.
But of course, to save money, sometimes you have to spend it first. The global smart city market is estimated
This is how we justify your tax money being spent.
to attract $15 billion by 2021, and that's just for software. So now companies from Microsoft to Cisco are aiming for a piece of it. In Singapore, Upton Saidi, CNBC.
See, it's really disappointing to me that people consider themselves journalists when they put out stories like that and cannot possibly weigh the downsides of this. And granted, there are a lot of benefits and things that do need to be implemented. We do need to further our use in technology to reduce inefficiencies, to save money, to increase people's quality of life. But do we trust our local governments, our state and our federal governments with this kind of power? I personally don't, and you shouldn't either. So getting back into this a little bit more, where's the, oh, that's right, I had to pull this one up in Chrome. This article, if you go to this one, will, I went ahead and did it, but it will pop up a survey, or not a survey, but a registration form, so to speak. You'll have to give them your information and email address to get rid of the pop-up that pops up on this, but this is on resources.nvidia.com. What is a smart city? How AI is going uptown around the globe. And again, since they have their Metropolis system, and you know, I'm not trying to blame NVIDIA here because I would consider them the sword maker, and the sword maker is not in control of who gets stabbed with their sword. So again, we already talked about how this is going to be a new update for traffic enforcement, along with a whole slew of other things that I'm sure would benefit from some efficiency improvements. This was an interesting little graphic here. Help us make our cities smarter. Smarter London together. It's all about engaging people. Trust. We need to learn faster. More digital skills. Artificial intelligence is here. Trust. Whose trust? Does the government trust us and that's why they need cameras everywhere? Do we trust the government, or are they asking for our trust here? We need to learn faster. This part I would agree with. We all need to learn. More digital skills. Well, let's not forget about our real life skills. Here's another little graphic here where it talks about all the different features of what a smart city will entail: smart parking, smart car sharing services, traffic, public transport, e-charge spots, infrastructure investment, clean energy, smart buildings, waste disposal, environment protection, environmental performance, citizen participation. I'd be interested to know what this is a catchphrase for. Digitization of government, which the previous video talked a little bit about. Urban planning, never a good thing. Education, business ecosystem, blockchain ecosystem, 4G LTE, internet speed, Wi-Fi hotspot, smartphone penetration. Don't know what that means. I hope they mean signals penetrating into buildings, but even then, living standards. How the city is becoming smarter, and cybersecurity. Again, there's a lot that in this article here if you want to check it out yourself, link in description, but this was one interesting graphic that is probably the main reason I put this here. So over here, sorry, above my head, is a graphic showing what a smart street light will have. And it has everything from Wi-Fi, mobile, and mesh networking, of course, PV, photovoltaic, power for lamp and mobile phones, smart lighting, concealed speakers, music, and alerts. You can add to that concealed microphones, environmental sensing, air quality and noise, image sensing. There's your cameras, RGBA notifications, not sure what that stands for, digital signage. So as you walk around, the ads can follow you. Those targeted ads you are used to seeing on a website based on your internet browsing history and your cookies, those can follow you. And when you walk by a digital sign on a street lamp, the ads targeted to you can follow you through your day. Isn't that wonderful? Digital street sign, as in traffic signs. Push to talk, because it's not already listening. Blue light services. That's not a bad thing. Street lights being one of those. Press here, I need help. Water level flood monitoring, and e-vehicle, e-bike charging. So again, a lot of this is cool stuff. That would be a much more useful street lamp in many senses than the average street lamp we have today. I'm not against them obviously adapting to the need or demand for light, or turning off when people aren't around. I don't think that's a bad thing. But there's a lot of creepy things that we don't need a street light to listen to us. We don't need a street light to be a camera on every, 200-300 feet, however many street lights there are per street. So again, that's, what's the price tag on a street light like that? That sounds like a couple $1,000s of technology, if not tens of thousands of dollars of technology buried into this streetlight. So that's not going to be cheap, and your taxes will pay for it. Again, I'm not going to go into this whole post because there's a lot here, and you probably are starting to get the sense of what a smart city is going to entail. So I'm going to go back to the other browser. I was having issues loading that in Firefox. That's why I pulled that one up in Chrome. But here is one example of a smart city that is, I think you can go ahead and book an apartment right now. It sounds like they're up and running from what I've seen. It's a company called Cul-de-sac, and it's in Tempe, Arizona. And their whole, even the tagline, the title of this page is Cities for People, Not Cars. So they are very anti-car in this community here. And I really got into the tiny home movement for a while, van life, that kind of thing. And I think it's fine as a concession to adapt to a more minimalist lifestyle, maybe a more nomadic lifestyle, if this would provide us affordable housing options. So to make a commitment like giving up your vehicle, I think it should be something that saves you money. I think it should be a cheaper option to, either be a rung on a ladder to social mobility, or just maybe someone's lifestyle choice. I don't think any of that is a problem or a bad thing. But when you look at these prices, units for lease, a studio starts at $1,300, a one bedroom at $1,400. This already, I know it's Arizona, but this is already more expensive than what it is in Raleigh. And I don't know what Arizona's rates are, but this doesn't sound like you're saving money here. Maybe for Arizona it is. I don't know. But some of the perks they give you is a 15% discount on all Lyft rides. Free rides on the metro, which I do believe that metro train right here goes right outside of this community. One thing I will say is I don't believe this is going to be a permanent free thing. I think this will be one of those things where there's an expiration date on this benefit. Well, I'll say off the top of my head, something like 5 years. So they fill out all these units, lease them out, sell them, whatever. And then these people now become dependent on this metro if they want to travel and leave this community. And the idea is you're going to have your grocery store here, you're going to have your restaurants here, you're going to have businesses here, so you're going to have a gym. Everything you could need is within this community, and all you might need is an electric bike. I do think they were starting to the first so many people in this community were supposed to get like a free e-bike. But anyway, I'm going to play their video real quick so you can kind of just get some of their visual stuff. Again, this is cul-de-sac. I would say their bedroom looked a little small. So you have your gym here. You have your metro. I want to go back to that. Sorry. Okay. This picture here. Someone made a really good point when I was first introduced to this concept. There's nowhere to get a fire truck in between these courtyards that are in between the buildings. This is a very densely packed cluster of buildings. So I'd be very interested to know what fire suppression systems they have in place here. As a former firefighter, I can tell you, there's got to be a sprinkler system in something like this. There's got to be, hopefully, some pre-connected hoses like you see in some of the older buildings where you open the glass case and there's a run of hose running off the piping where a fire truck could park outside of this community. But again, set up an aerial, spray water down from above. But this is very densely packed, and I'd be interested to see how the pre-plans went for the fire marshal. I'd be interested to know what building code is and what they had to do for some of this stuff. Because yeah, as a firefighter, like I don't like the look of this. If you have one of these inner apartments in kind of in the center of these courtyards, how do they get hoses to you? How do they fight that fire? And with all those e-bikes and those lithium batteries charging, I think they're going to find that out sooner than they want to. Hopefully not. Hopefully they have it managed. Hopefully nobody gets hurt and loses too much property. But I've got questions. And so you got your co-working coffee space here, your grocery store, your restaurants. I mean, it looks cool. I don't hate it, but I think it's a choice. And I'm not one who's going to give up my cars. If it cut me a massive break on what rent would be, it's something I could consider. But in general, I'm good for a vacation where I don't have to drive for like a week. But then after that, like you get back in your car and man, do you miss it sometimes. So yeah, that pretty much is everything that I wanted to cover, just to kind of make people aware that, that story that we started off with, which is kind of what inspired me to go into this. And there's going to be a lot more about smart cities I'm going to have to talk about in the future as the technology gets released, as agencies like WRAL and other national news organizations drop us these tidbits of, hey, this technology's here and there's nothing you can do about it, which is normally the attitude that they have when they present some of these things. By the time they want to tell you about smart streetlights, they're already going to be on the streets. They're going to be standing on a street corner looking, oh, this is a smart streetlight, and it might seem creepy, but really it's a good thing. That's how all of these stories are always presented, and it's so disingenuous, and it really frustrates me. And that's why I constantly feel the need to, I don't want to say attack them, but point out that we're not buying your narrative, and we're not buying it when you present things this disingenuously, or maybe I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and say this ignorantly. Because again, here's NVIDIA calling us out by name, that we're buying into their system. And, again, I'm not trying to be all doom and gloom here. There's some definite benefits to local government efficiency that need to happen and need to update with the times. But we need to speak out about how this is going to affect our privacy. And we need to speak out about what they can legally do, and we need to stand our ground. Because, nickel and diming people to death for speeding and red lights is not the core of the issues we're facing. We are having much greater traffic issues with the street racing and streetcar takeover scene, and that's mostly going unaddressed until inevitably they're going to come down very heavy-handedly on not just the people who are the problem, but the rest of the car community in general. And just watch, this is going to be used as I've covered on this channel before, it's going to be used against all car owners. The fact that someone is street racing, we now have to come after Karen going to pick up her kids at school, who maybe is a little rushed and maybe driving 5 or 10 miles an hour faster than she should be driving. And it's this kind of unequal application of the law, or this heavy-handedness where here's a legitimate problem that does need to be dealt with, and here's how we're going to make the rest of you suffer and pay for it. So a lot of this stuff is already being suppressed. A lot of my videos are getting taken down, or not taken down, but suppressed in the algorithms. If you like this video, if you want to see more stuff like this, please like, please subscribe, please share, because it might not be long that I'll even be able to be on a platform like this for some of what the algorithm's already been doing to my content. Some of it's low budget. I appreciate all of you that are sticking with me, as I don't have the time or the production quality to bring you better content. I don't have a green screen, as you can tell. I'm working with what I have, and I'm trying to get this information out here to you so that we can make some positive change in the world. So again, please like, share, and subscribe. The normal YouTube crap, blah, blah, blah. You know what to do. I will catch